Hello and welcome to all. Another episode of the Holmes Hour here, where we're breaking down NFL football games, talk about recent NFL news, and continuing to discuss all the good play and good games and predictions in the upcoming NFL games as well. As you notice, we have a bit of different decor here. I'm currently at my mother's house watching for her. If you hear the screeches and loud noises in the back, that is my mother's bird Petrie telling everyone hello. So you can just go ahead and ignore those when you hear them or whatever you want to do. Let's grab Tyson real quick here, and he can say hi to everyone, and I'll be right back, friends. Enjoy. Still got Tyson with us. Brought him over to Mom's house. You can chill out right there. Okay, folks, as you saw in the intro, I got the boo being displayed there. So happy Halloween season, everyone. Happy October. Spooky season, as everyone refers to it, right? Let's just dive right in to what we're going to be talking about today, which is obviously the NFL games from week 5, okay? So we'll just start things off going into our Thursday night game. I did want to say we are hoping to have a guest on today. We're hoping to have Chris Shaw come on the show today. He's got the invite already on the Zoom. He's still at work right now. Should be here in about 20, 30 minutes, I'd imagine. So hopefully we get a chance to have him come in there, and we'll discuss recent news in the NFL as well. And what am I doing? I'm bouncing right over here to this Thursday night game, right? But really what we should dive right into first, and I'm wearing the Khalil Mack shirt to be just slightly ironic with it though, right? But Jon Gruden has officially resigned as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. This came as quite a shock to me and several of my Raiders fans as well. Obviously, I hadn't heard the news about the second round of emails that had been leaked, I should say. So if you don't know the backstory, we'll dive into it a little bit, okay? Jon Gruden had some emails uncovered by the NFL in their ongoing investigation of some of the Washington football team's execs, especially mainly the one that they found the emails to and from were to Bruce Allen. Bruce Allen is a Washington exec. I believe he was the owner or something for a while. One of their main heads over there for the Washington football team. And they're trying to dig into some legal problems and whatever the hell was going on with the Washington football team. They had a lot of issues for a long time over there. You know, Dan Snyder's someone with a lot of issues as well. So Jon Gruden was never the center of this viewing. He was never meant to have the spotlight shown on him, in a sense to say, or anything like that. But what came out was upsetting, unfortunately, and clearly Jon, and back when he was working at ESPN from a 7-course year from 2011 to 2018, I believe was the last email they found, right before he had signed on as the Raiders head coach, had said some very upsetting things to several different groups of people. We don't need to dive into details about words that were stated or anything, but he had insulted Goodell in a manner. He had insulted specific sets of referees, specific sets of players, and really just, the words that were stated were nothing that you'd ever want anyone to hear, or nothing that you'd ever want to say either, because you don't ever want to offend people from different cultures, backgrounds, races, etc. Okay, I will say that, obviously these are messages that he was thinking would stay private, which never is when you're typing anything or keeping them online. But that doesn't make it acceptable to say these things in the first place. Jesus, this bird's annoying. One second. Hey, will you shut up? Eat a cracker. There, have a snack. Hopefully that will quiet her down for a little bit. Probably won't. So we'll just have to push through Petrie Con. I think when I've talked, it keeps her. She thinks someone's engaging with her. So it's whatever. We're just gonna push through. As I was saying though, Jon Gruden has been let go, or he resigned as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Unfortunate news, because I was a big fan of Gruden, but after everything that's leaked out, I'm not coming up to bat to defend him or anything. Just covering what happened. So he stepped down. We'll definitely get Chris's thoughts on that as well, as it's the biggest news around in the league right now. And we'll see what he has to say about that and his opinions and thoughts, and whether the right measures were taken or what he thinks about this. I will say it's fairly interesting how much that there's 650,000 different emails. The NFL has claimed that they leaked absolutely none of them, and that somehow they just randomly got out. But clearly there was a first email that it came out, which was an offensive comment to the NFLPA leader, DeMaurice Smith, I believe. And that was released, and Jon Gruden had apologized, and basically everyone was like, okay. But then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of more emails that only indicate Jon Gruden of doing anything wrong. No one else has apparently said anything else wrong, including Bruce Allen and the exec he was messaging. No one else is really getting caught under any fire other than Jon Gruden in this situation. So it's interesting to see. There's a lot of reporters that are saying that we need to see every single email released so they can truly see the true content of the emails. And, probably not just Jon Gruden over there messaging homeboy over there. It seems like they were using the email as some sort of personal messaging system, as opposed to, you're on your work email, and Jon was at ESPN at the time doing Monday Night Football. So it's interesting to see. The curious part of me wants to step out and be like, well, let me see the other emails. Why are we only attacking Jon Gruden in this situation? I highly doubt he's the only person that's going to get in trouble from all these emails coming through. It just seems like crazy to me that we get the one leak, and then there's a whole bunch more that came out. So he's offending a bunch of different other people other than just the one individual, which he had a problem with, right? And then it's only Jon Gruden. And now Goodell and the NFL are all just like, oh, we didn't leak any emails. We don't know how anyone got any of the information. Sure seems to me like there is someone within the NFL offices. Goodell, I don't know. Some of the emails said offensive things about Goodell. Maybe Goodell saw them and feels like he should leak more information to make Jon Gruden look even worse, right? And again, we're not validating or saying anything that Jon Gruden did was okay. It just seems like this was some sort of individual targeting from someone deep within the NFL organizations to solely take down Jon Gruden. Because I'd be insanely surprised if there was nothing else coming from any of those emails, and that Jon Gruden was the only person who did anything that was slightly out of character, inappropriate, when he was believed to be in a private setting, right? So let's see how that storyline continues. We'll talk to Chris about that as well. But I personally, diehard Raiders fan, NFL aficionado myself, am very curious to see what the rest of those emails say and what could have been, implied or inferred from anything that could have been said by them. So hopefully we get those released at some point. Again, this investigation had nothing to do with Jon Gruden initially, and it was entirely on the Washington football team. So we'll just have to wait and see, guys. And I'm not going to – it's just – I'm very disheartened as a Raiders fan. Obviously, our special teams coordinator is stepping up and being the head coach now. I'm very excited for him. I think there's good progress here. He was Jon Gruden's assistant for over 11 years. He was his assistant at Tampa Bay. And has been coaching football for over 40 years, and I think in the NFL for over 20. That's Football Rich Bisaccia, I think, or Bisaccia, or maybe it's I don't exactly know how to pronounce it, but Rich is the new head coach, and he was a special teams guy, so he was aware of offensive production as well as defense production. He's a Gruden guy. He knows the scheme. He knows the system. I'm interested to see what the team is going to do to adapt and keep moving on along and see how they'll play under head coach Rich here. We got the Denver Broncos next week, and we'll just have to see how that game goes. But that's the biggest news going around the NFL right now is how Gruden had to resign and step down as the Raiders head coach. And frankly, the whole situation is very upsetting for a lot of people, Raiders fans, I'm sure Gruden fans, and just people in general. It's never what you want to see. It's not what the NFL wants representing them. I understand the courses that had to be taken after these things were released. I am just curious as to why so much it's just Jon Gruden getting the hammer slammed down on him, why only his specific emails happen to be leaked and bleeded through the rest of the NFL. So let's see how the rest of that story unfolds. And I think that we're very far from hearing the end of it. Okay. I was saying to other people, like, let's see what Jerry Jones's personal emails to other people have said, or, Robert Kraft, or just other, large names in the NFL. I would love to see what those guys are out saying to people when they don't know that they're under the guise of, or under the eyes of the entire world populace, So let's just see how that story continues to go. Let's dive into some actual football here, folks. Okay. Right. We got week 5, Los Angeles Rams Thursday night football versus the Seattle Seahawks. Okay. This was a good game starting out. DK Metcalf had a touchdown early. Stafford and the boys were clicking on all cylinders as they've been doing, except for when they played the Arizona Cardinals, who are looking hot right now. So the Rams end up getting this win 26-17. Okay. It wasn't exactly a close game at the end of it. The Rams managed to put it away with a field goal. I will say this, and this is very big news coming out of that game. I believe in the second quarter, Russell Wilson drops back to throw a ball, gets it out, and ends up hitting his ring or his middle finger or maybe his index or middle finger. I think it was middle, but ends up hitting the middle finger on the top of Aaron Donald's helmet. He has a ruptured tendon in that finger and will be out for the rest of the month, it seems. And I believe they're saying 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. Knowing Russ, I wouldn't be surprised if it was maybe a week or two earlier than it should be recommended, But we're just going to have to wait and see there. Geno Smith will be the guy in Seattle right now. It does seem, I believe they brought in Blake Bortles for a workout too. His name's still floating around there, kind of an NFL journeyman at this point after his time in Jacksonville didn't work out. But Russell Wilson, ruptured finger, out for 6 weeks. That is Geno Smith's team now. Let's see how the Seattle backup quarterback can step up and respond to the adversity of the situation. There are weapons around that Seattle team. You got Lockett. You got Metcalf. Okay, Chris Carson running the football. Alex Collins running the football. All right, their O-line's been revamped a little bit. So let's see what that team's going to be able to do under the newfound leadership of Geno Smith. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to skip the Jets game right now. And hopefully when Chris comes here, he's a big Jets fan. We'll talk about the Jets. We'll talk about Gruden most likely. And we'll talk about the picks for the week. That's what I'm hoping we can get with him. I have to head out to practice here in about an hour or so. So, we won't go over time crazy. But we'll see here what Chris has to say about these things. And maybe he wants to talk about the Browns and Chargers game as well. But I'm going to talk about another close-knit game, which maybe you Patriots fans out there were not happy that it was so close. Mac Jones going up against Davis Mills of the Houston Texans, okay? This was a nail-biter football game. My mom's phone's ringing, but I'm just going to talk over it and act like I don't hear it, right? This was a nail-biter football game, all right? The Houston Texans were playing surprisingly good football against this Patriots football team. Their defense was playing well. Mac Jones was struggling to move the ball down the field early, okay? And I will say this as well, that Davis Mills came out and he managed to play a surprisingly good football game. They had some big breakaway plays. I believe Chris Moore was a target on one of them, managed to pull out and get deep there. But this Houston Texans team, I don't know if they're I think they're probably the top of the worst teams in the league right now. I would like to see a game with the Texans versus the Jets and see who manages to pull that one out, right? Because the Houston Texans, they're of those bottom tier teams. It's like them and the Jets have a win, right? Jacksonville's still winless. You kind of got the Giants floating down there in the bottom as well. So it's interesting to say. Is there another winless team in the NFL? There's got to be one, I think, right? who's a bottom tier team that wouldn't have a win? I don't know. I don't know if there's any winless. Oh, I found them. I found the team I was thinking of, the Lions. Right there we go. Motor City Dan Campbell and his Lions. Either way, the Texans came out and they played some good football against this team. Mac Jones and the Patriots end up getting the dub. Not surprisingly, I think they're the better football team there, but it's only by a field goal. And when you're playing a team that's a really lower caliber team and you're supposed to be a much higher caliber team, you want to see a bigger win difference, okay? It's like when Buffalo goes in and plays the Washington football team, you want to see them mop them by, 20 or 17 points something, right? You don't want it to come down to a nail biter. I know the experience as a Raiders fan, there's been many games we're supposed to blow the team out of the water. We only end up winning by a field goal. So been there, done that. Mac Jones and this Patriots team manages to get the win. They have 2 wins now, one against the Texans and one against the Jets. Great job, New England, right? It's so funny. This team was just so dominant for freaking 20 years with Tom Brady. It's wild to me to see them struggling the way they have. But, they've got a rookie quarterback in the system. And I think that's really the main excuse they have because they've spent $135 million bringing in a whole bunch of weapons, right? You got Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, okay, just really big names offensively and not the production you want to see. I know James White is out. Damian Harris has to step in and take the load. Brandon Bolden's running the football over there as well. But you want to see more production from this team offensively if you're a Patriots fan. I still think that defense is highly stout. I think Belichick knows what he's doing defensively. Judon's playing really good football over there. They just re-signed Jamie Collins, so I'm sure he'll be in action sooner rather than later for that team. Another Patriots news too, right? They just released Stephon Gilmore. Well, they said they released him and then inevitably ended up trading him for a 6th-round pick over to the Carolina Panthers. Only a 6th-round pick. That's right, folks, which is quite surprising to me. But, clearly it was either trade him right away or he's going to walk out the door having all of his value intact. I will say this, that Stephon Gilmore is, in fact, from South Carolina. So maybe they had talked with him in the first place and said, hey, is it all right if we trade you to Carolina? And he's like, yeah, fine. Just get me the heck out of Dodge. I don't want to be a Patriot anymore. Stephon Gilmore has been on IR with an injury. I think he was on the PUP list. So we're still going to have to see if and when he's going into action for that Carolina Panthers team. But I am not sure how soon it will be. But I will say this, the Panthers got themselves a hell of a defensive back, if that is the guy that they're planning on going to, okay? Chris just messaged me, just left work, 13 minutes away, and then he'll be on about 20 minutes, okay? So that's fine. I'm going to keep digging through these games, and when he hops on, we'll get into the topic of conversation that I want to get into with him. That invite is already sent out to him, so we should just be able to pop into the meeting. Let me give Petrie another cracker so she shuts up, and we can talk some NFL football. Petrie, I know you're here. I get it. You're a bird. There you go. There's another cracker. I'll probably just keep bribing her through it so you folks don't have to listen to her squeaking and squawking, but that's just what we're doing, watching Mom's house today. So it's just what we're going to have to do. And it's all good with me. We're talking NFL football, baby. I'm happy to do it. I'll do it in the bottom of a cave if I have to. Moving on along, right? So we talk about, Gilmore's over with the Panthers. We'll see when he gets in there and how productive he can be. Let's move into another story, another close nail-biter game, and another heartbreaker. We're talking about the Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings, okay? Now, Jesus, you can't buy a break for these Lions, okay? They are, the word around the NFL is they're cursed, right? They've been cursed since the 60s. If you want to lift that, give this man Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders the money you owe them. They were like, oh, we'll give Calvin the money back, but he's got to do 20 hours of work for us total over the span of the season and do guest appearances. And Calvin's like, no, I know it's it's over $1 million they'd give him for literally 20 hours of work. But Calvin's like, it's not about the money. It's not about you paying me for work. It's about paying me what you should have paid me in the first place. Shaw's messaged me, what games do I have left to talk about? Okay. Sorry. I'll tell him. There's plenty. We can talk about whatever you want to. and we might dive back into some games just to hear Chris's opinion. We'll just I'll list off the games to him and let him pick through what he wants to thumb through as well, and we'll finish up the games there, and then we'll do our picks and stuff. There's nothing to be worried about from what he's going to discuss standpoint. I also really want to get his opinions on the whole Jon Gruden situation, as I'm sure we all do. So moving on along, right? I was talking about Lions could buy break. Pay the man Calvin Johnson. Give him the money you owe him, okay? Make his life. I just think it'll help you guys out a lot because the Lions just keep losing these close football games. There was about 39 seconds left on the clock. The Lions get into the end zone. They go for two. Dan Campbell drops a hammer down on the ground. We're going to win this game by 1. They go for 2. They convert it. Jared Goff making plays for them. The Lions defense is playing good football throughout the most of the day with 40 seconds to a minute left on the clock. Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, and the Minnesota Vikings drive the ball down the field and get the field goal as time expires. I believe the kicker is Greg Joseph over there. Well done, Minnesota. They win a close one. Detroit falls to 0-5. Minnesota bumps themselves up to 2-3. It's just crazy to me to think about that. This Lions team cannot catch a win. They've been in three very winnable games. 2 of them all ending on crazy field goals. Time back to the Baltimore Ravens game, right? But Detroit falls again. They're 0-5. I do still think, and I've been preaching their arguments the whole time, I still think the Lions are moving the ball in the right direction from an organizational standpoint. They're playing better games. They're not just getting completely washed out, right? They're in these games for the last second, but man, do I want this man Dan Campbell to get a win. Good job and props to Zimmer. Kirk Cousins playing a good game, doing just enough to get the job done. They played a tight one in Cleveland last week as well. This Minnesota Vikings team is a good football team, okay? They've only got 2 wins, but they're probably one of the better teams with only 2 wins. I'll tell you what, I'd pick Minnesota to beat the Patriots right now. I would. Maybe that wouldn't happen, but I would. So good job by the Vikings. They get out of there alive. I believe they were at home this week, but I can't say for sure. The Lions end up losing it. Another heartbreaker. It is what it is, and the NFL continues on. We'll go on to our next game that we're going to be discussing today, and this is a close game here, another close game, and I'm actually quite surprised this team managed to get the win. Are the Panthers not as good as we think the Panthers are? If they have Stephon Gilmore on the field, are they going to be playing better football? Questions that need to be answered, okay? Jalen Hurts, Rieger, Quez Watkins, okay? All players over there that are, doing good offensively. Miles Sanders running the ball effectively. That Eagles defense versus the Carolina Panthers played a good football game. I believe the Eagles were down by a fair margin at some point in that game. Let's check here and go to the old stat line to help us out. Philadelphia Eagles at halftime, it was 6-15 at halftime. The Eagles end up getting 7 points in the third quarter, and they get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion in the fourth. Okay, I believe this got them ahead, and the Panthers come back and they get a field goal, but it was just not enough to get the job done in the fourth quarter. I believe that game was finally sealed by Sam Darnold throwing an interception against the Philadelphia Eagles when they were trying to mount another drive to either go back and tie or score. Well done by this Philadelphia Eagles team. I am impressed with them as a whole. They have been fighting through, there's been a lot of smack talk. They've been smacked around a little bit. Obviously lost the tie game with the Niners. Did not play well against the Dallas Cowboys, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are a pretty darn good football team as well over there in the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles keep flying true. They stay through it. Jalen Hurts does the job. They get just enough to get the win out there against a very hot Carolina Panthers team that was 3-1 at the time that they were playing a 1-3 team. So very well done by this Carolina Panther. They did good. They did good as well. Panthers played good football, but you got to play your best football in the fourth quarter and in the second half of these games to win them, as you need to do anytime you're playing a fairly similar opponent or someone you think that you can beat. It all boils down to second half performance, and the Eagles get the job done defensively and offensively, scoring, 15 points in the second half. Mason, that dog keeps ringing the bell. They ring a bell when they want to go out. I'll let them out and give the bird another snack. just to avoid all these noise distractions. Yes, I'm coming, Petrie. Take another cracker. There you go. Okay, I've just bought us another 5 minutes of silence. Sorry again, folks. I know the noise is a little crazy here, but we're at my mom's place watching House and the Animals for her because I love her and I'm a good son. She's gone for the next 8 days, so we may even do the next one here. I might move it into the other room so we have a little bit less distraction. But I've done it out here before and it's been effective. I normally do it closer to nighttime though, so it's a lot calmer. Phone won't be ringing, birds calling, things like that. But it's all good. We're going to keep chugging along here, folks. That's what we do here at the Holmes Hour, all right? So Eagles end up getting that win, 21-18. Panthers fall to 3-2. Eagles move to 2-3. Good job, Eagles. Still fighting in that NFC East, all right? Let's move on along to the New Orleans Saints versus the Washington football team. Now, I had New Orleans winning this game, but I'll tell you this, Washington played a good game. I think New Orleans is really hot and cold with all their games they played through, and that's continued to be indicative of the way they've been playing because they were hot again today. Turnover too early in the game. Jameis Winston, he's just got a heck of a rocket on him because he sure manages to sling it. Ends the day throwing 4 touchdowns, passing for 279. Alvin Kamara had himself a good day running the ball as well. Rushing touchdown, 71 yards there as well. Let's see how the Washington football team did. 2 interceptions for Taylor Heineke on 250, 20 of 41. Just not enough from this Washington football team offensively to get the job done. And obviously you give up 33 points to another team. That's a tough game to win as well. So defensively, they need to step up. I would say defensively is where you could argue that they've been way, way, way less productive than they were last year, right? And I think this is one of the main reasons I was leaning towards New Orleans, who has such a high-powered offense, even though they do end up losing Taysom Hill early in that game after taking a hard shot to the head. I believe he had a neck injury and was inevitably carted off the field. So thoughts and prayers out to Taysom Hill, and we hope to see him back soon and playing the good football that he does. But this New Orleans team continued to respond. The Washington football team did. There was a trade-off of leads back and forth. But once we got to about 7-8 minutes left in that fourth quarter, New Orleans did manage to get the stop they needed. They did get on the board and take that double-digit lead that every team is always so hopeful for to catch in the fourth quarter. And New Orleans manages to pull the game out late. So good job by New Orleans. Way to put your foot on the gas and continue to keep fighting and biting and keep, don't quit. Keep your head up high. And let's see if that Washington football team will be able to respond. We'll see who they play next week and talk about how they will do there. I am not sure if it's going to be easy matchup or not, or divisional. So we'll just have to see. I don't even know the games coming in. So I just look and pick from my gut opinion on most of them, which I think is the right way to do it. So Heineke and the Washington football team unable to get this one done, losing to the New Orleans Saints 33-22. The Saints scored 13 points in the fourth quarter, and that's how you win it right there. That's how you win football games in the fourth quarter, 2 scores. So good job by the Saints team. The Saints will rise to 3-2, while the Washington football team will fall to 2-3. Okay, moving on along here. This was a close game for a little bit, but inevitably, I believe the better team continued to push through. I had the Tennessee Titans beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 37-19. Trevor Lawrence and Urban Myer still continued to chase after that elusive first win that you have when you have your rookie quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is one of the few winless quarterbacks from that rookie class. Yeah, I think he's the only one who doesn't have a win, actually. Obviously Trey Lance was the guy over there for the Niners, and they end up getting a loss. So I guess, you got to count if they're starting or not too, but Justin Fields got a win now. So I do think it's Lawrence is the only one without a win yet of those early quarterbacks drafted. They end up, and the Jets just beat this team last week. So now the conversations dive in here. Is Zach Wilson a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence? Zach Wilson was able to get the job done over there. I think what it really boils down to is the coaching aspect, the fact that Urban Myer is a fresh college coach coming in, kind of a new complete scenery for him. It's a completely different galaxy when you're coaching an NFL team as opposed to a college roster, where in college you're completely in charge of all those players. You own their lives if they piss you off. if they piss you off, you can just cut them or denounce them and be like, whatever, you're not going to play football anymore. Or in the NFL, these people are on salary and they're grown men. And when you're out, getting into antics and dealing with other, out partying at a pub house because you need a break after you lose the game for your team in your hometown. So Urban Myer needs to get that team settled down, and I think he needs to calm down his own antics as well. You're the leader of men, of all the equipment. You got 70 people on your roster that you're in charge of, Urban. You can't be out finagling and making your wife look like a fool, chatting up girls at bars, okay, who he claimed he didn't know. He goes around to all the different teams, all the different, linebackers, O-line, and he tells them, oh, it was just some stranger. I don't know. Everything was misconstrued. They don't get it. And apparently he was laughed at walking out of the meetings because his players are just like, come on, Urban. Like, we're not, I'm a grown man. I know what you're doing. I know what's going on there. Okay. So, Urban's got to try to settle things in there, and he canceled team meetings on Monday as well. So there's a day you miss getting ready for the Titans because you're so worried and tied up on your own personal antics that you can't even focus on the game at hand, the most important thing going on, which is the next game, right? So ends up getting laughed out by his players when he tells them that it was, nothing happened and there's nothing to be worried about, when that's definitely not the case. Okay. We'll get back into the actual game itself. But I was going to say, my point I was making is that I think Robert Saleh for the Jets is a much more into the NFL coach. He was obviously D coordinator on the Niners the year before, really defensive guy. That Jets defense continues to get after the football, okay? And that's why the Titans struggle, because I think they're better coached. I think they have a better coaching staff in front of them. They've got Mike LaFleur, who's Matt LaFleur's younger brother over there as the OC. I just think there's a lot of good things going on in that Jets organization from a coaching standpoint, as opposed to what I'm seeing going on at the Jacksonville standpoint. So it'll be interesting to see what Jacksonville will do to continue to try to find success. The best game they played clearly was that game against the Bengals, who were surprisingly flat in their game against them, probably thinking they'd walk all over them. That being said, the Titans did struggle early against this Jacksonville team. Trevor Lawrence did manage to put some things together. I believe the Titans really struggled to find some offense early in the game. I was trying to pull up the stats here, but now we're saying now we're having trouble finding the stats. Not loading in. Let's click games here. Come on now. Give me my Jacksonville stats. Okay, here we go. Tannehill, yeah, some struggles early. No interceptions from Tannehill, which is good. Their defense actually did manage to pick off Trevor Lawrence as well. Tannehill only 197 yards passing. And now I'll give Tannehill this note here. He was down 2 prime receivers, okay? So they didn't have Julio Jones, or actually, you know what? I think they did have A.J. Brown in this game, but I think Julio Jones has still been out for a little bit here. Derrick Henry continues to be the workhorse for that Tennessee Titans team. 3 rushing touchdowns, 30 carries, 130 yards, averaging 4.5 per carries. Derrick Henry is an absolute monster of a man, monster of the midway when you're trying to make a tackle in the open field. No one wants to step up and catch any of that smoke. He is a massive man and a dominant running back in the NFL here. Yeah, I was right. A.J. Brown was playing, so that's my bad, but they did not have Julio Jones, who was their free agent acquisition, the biggest one that they had this year. Been struggling with some injuries as of late, but I believe he will be back and healthy just a little bit later here in the season. As I was saying, Jacksonville was managing to put some football together early in the game. Trevor Lawrence has 273 passing and a touchdown. James Robinson had himself a field day, more yards and more average yards than Derrick Henry did either. 18 carries, 149 yards rushing, averaging 8.3 yards per carry and a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence also squeaked into the end zone as well on a run. He seems to be someone not afraid to tuck the ball and dive towards the end zone as well. Either way, final result of that game is Tennessee Titans rising to 3-2, with the Jacksonville Jaguars falling to 0-5. Tennessee Titans win the game 37-19. 37-19 is our final there for the Titans game. Moving on along to another game that was not exactly close or a nail-biter. It was pretty clear early who the dominant team was, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Miami Dolphins. Two Florida teams going after it against each other. One is far more superior than the other, I believe. We still have Tom Brady slinging the rock as amazing as he ever has, okay? Tom Brady had 5, count them, folks, 5 touchdown passes in this game. Let's see who all those receivers were on there. I'm pretty sure Antonio Brown had himself 2 to Antonio, 2 to Mike Evans, and 1 to Giovanni Bernard. Very well done by this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. They put an absolute onslaught onto the Miami Dolphins in the second, third, and fourth quarter, scoring 17 in the second and 21 in the fourth. You got to play your best ball in the second half, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady absolutely know how to do that. They completely blow Jacoby Brissett and this Miami Dolphins team out of the water. The Dolphins' only win this season is still continuing to have came against the New England Patriots. All right, Jacoby Brissett, let's see his statistics. 275 with 2 touchdown passes and 1 interception. Myles Gaskin was the recipient of both of those touchdown passes. So Gaskin getting some ground over there. I know they've been struggling to run the football and have running back production. So that's something that they're hoping to change and adapt. And Gaskin's probably the guy they're going to lean on to do that, to get more production from their ground game and from their running back room. Okay. So I want to see how that game would go with Tua in, so I can continue to make my argument that I don't think Tua is that great of a quarterback, okay? I think we're going to have similar results, if not even worse. Brissett managed to put together 250-plus passing and throw 2 touchdowns. I'd like to see how Tua would be productively in that same type of game. If he would have been better, we'll have to see, and when he's back, we'll see what his production is. I believe he's missed 2 weeks. IR, you're supposed to be out 3, so it's probably the last week that we don't see Tua over there in Miami, I'd imagine. But we're just going to have to boil that down and wait to see what results will come, okay? Checking here. Chris should probably be joining us momentarily, but we'll just leave it open and ready for him to join. Moving on along here, given the stats for that game, Miami loses the game 17-45 in an absolute blowout. The Miami Dolphins will fall to 1-4, while Tampa Bay will rise to 4-1. Okay, good job, Tampa Bay. Their only loss of the season coming to the Los Angeles Rams. All right. Boom. Next one. This was an exciting game. This one boiled down to overtime, okay? And a few missed field goals late in this game made it rather interesting, okay? Let me go give Petrie another cracker, and we'll keep breaking through these games. All right, as I was saying, going into this Packers-Bengals game, all right? The Packers definitely struggled a little bit early, okay, while Cincinnati was taking advantage a little bit early. At the end of the first quarter, Cincinnati was up 7-0. The Packers were really struggling to get any sort of offense going at all. Aaron Rodgers seems to find what he was looking for, and they click very hard in the second quarter, scoring 16 in the second, matching Cincinnati's only touchdown in the second quarter. So the score going into halftime was 16-14 Green Bay. So we boil into a couple field goals now. Green Bay gets a field goal in the third and the fourth quarter to get their score up to 22. The Bengals mount a last-minute drive, get the ball in the end zone, and get the 2-point conversion to tie the Green Bay Packers. The Packers end up taking a knee. Actually, they may have missed it. There was a lot of missed field goals in this game. So I want to see if I can find the field goal count. No, it doesn't say, unfortunately. The Bengals did have to punt 5 times, though. The Packers only had to punt 2. So those are things to keep note of. Joey Burrow ends up throwing 2 interceptions in this game as well. The Packers just had better numbers all across the board offensively, rushing yards, passing yards, total yards, and yards per play. But that does not mean anything, really. The Cincinnati Bengals team was really just 1 play away, 1 field goal away from winning the game twice, I believe. We get into overtime of this game. The Packers start with the ball. They drive down the field. They miss the Mason Crosby field goal. The Cincinnati Bengals get the ball back. They drive the ball down the field. They miss their game-winning field goal. Packers end up getting the ball back, going down the field. Mason Crosby, Packers on third down. The Packers end up getting the ball through the uprights. A 40-yard field goal on third down for the Green Bay Packers to get out against the Cincinnati Bengals in overtime. Well done by this Green Bay Packers team. They continue to find a game to win, while Cincinnati played a very good football game against a very tough football team. Joey Burrow, I will say, plays a little bit of risky football out there. He throws his body. He got hit low and did a front flip over a defender. They were worried we had a neck injury for a second. I believe A.J. McCarron is the backup in there, so don't be surprised if sometime later in the season he ends up getting some playing time because Joey Burrow isn't taking the best care of his body. All that being said, they end up leaving this game against Green Bay, the losers. The Packers walk away with the win on the Mason Crosby third down field goal, 25-22. Well done by the Green Bay Packers, who have now risen to 4-1 since a very poor start against the New Orleans Saints, where they were blown out plus 30 when the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe Chris Shaw is attempting to join. Boom. Admit. I think he's joining. Chris, are you with me, brother?
Yes, sir. We live. We here. Hey, you run me on, Jordy. Thank you.
What's up? What jersey you wearing there?
You know how I do. New York City, the Odell Beckham.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's fresh, man.
It's a clean. It's a classic, bro. When you get the cat, she's the first one that comes up, so I had to do it.
Yeah, no, I get you. I just finished talking about, let me see here. I just finished talking about the Packers-Cincinnati game. I saved the Jets game, and I still have Broncos, Bears, Browns. There's still plenty of teams to talk about, so we're fine. I have about 30 more minutes here, so we'll try to cut through it as efficiently as we can.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to get your opinion, though, and I talked about it a little bit already, but let's talk about Jon Gruden a little bit, my man. Let's talk about Jon Gruden a little bit. Your thoughts on everything going on there? I said, go ahead, dive on in.
I had a feeling this is going to be a topic of conversation before I came on the show. So I was trying to think of it, trying to go over my answers. And, yeah, man. I mean, first off, just as a black man speaking, I just want to make it clear. I don't speak for the black community at all. I speak on what I think and what I think. And I just think Jon Gruden is it's just a sad situation for everybody. It's sad for him. It's sad for the Raiders. It's sad for the people he's affected. It's just totally just a sad situation all around. You just never want to see one man's career just really end, even if he does deserve it. You just don't want to see it, and it's just a totally situation. I just think the emails being from 10 years ago is a while back. I didn't think there was much malicious intent in that original email that got released, but apparently after these last 7 years, a bunch of emails coming through, attacking multiple different genders and parties, offending multiple different people. It was just time for a change, and I don't see the Raiders having any other option but to part ways.
I completely agree. I think it was the right decision to part ways with them, as insane as it is looking outside. I know they're from a while back. It's interesting to me, and that noise is my mom's bird making noise, just so you know. But they're from a while back, these emails. It's just interesting to me that Jon Gruden seems to be the sole victim of the whole thing. It surprised me if they don't find other emails indicating other coaches and stuff, right?
About the Redskins, how the Redskins last year had some conduct going on, especially towards women, that they're about to start covering a bunch of emails similar to this is kind of what I've heard.
It's interesting. It's interesting to me that only the Gruden ones got released. It feels like someone from the NFL department, and I was saying this earlier, has some sort of personal problem with Gruden, and we're in a rush to get him out quicker as opposed to later, as he's the one getting singled out. But I'm telling you, I will not be surprised if there's much more emails and much more information to come and be released here, and a lot of other people taking some hard hits.
Because you're using our Laurentian brain and thinking outside the box. I think that's a correct hypothesis. Start to be named and come through.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But yes, obviously the things that were said were bad. And he's Gruden's the head coach with the only openly gay player on the NFL as well. And there are words used there that were offending that community, none of which we condone by any means. So, I believe Carl Nassib had to take a personal day just to think about the fact of whether he wants to keep playing for the team after all the information that came out.
A lot of money to see Jon Gruden and Carl Nassib locked up in a room after all about this.
You know what? I don't know if it even come down to a brawl. I think it more boiled down just to Gruden saying sorry, to be honest. I don't think, you know, I don't know. I don't know, dude. I can't put words in their mouth either, you know, so I don't know what would happen, but you're right. The situation's just sad overall. Yeah, it's just sad. It's just sad. It's sad. And, you know, I think the Raiders did what they had to do. Mark Davis did what they have to do. Special teams coach Rick Basucci or something. I think it's Basucci is coming up now to be the head coach of the Raiders. Huh?
Who is that? I've never heard of him.
He was Jon Gruden's assistant head coach at Tampa and for the Raiders for the last 3 years. So he's been a Gruden guy for a long time. And he's been coaching the NFL for, I think, over 25, 30 years. So he's really well, he knows the offense well. He knows the defense well. And everyone at the Raiders organization said he's exactly the person that it should be. So I don't think anyone's disagreeing with it. I thought maybe Gus Bradley would come up and be the guy, but you know, we go with someone with their first NFL job, and let's see how they do. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and play Denver decently, especially after getting the air cleared and Jon Gruden stepping away. And in his final statements, he was really, you know, I never meant to hurt anyone, but I'm certainly not going to be a distraction to this football team. So I think that's another main reason why he stepped down, just to get himself and the Raiders out of the spotlight so much. Let's move on along here, though. You want to talk about that Jets Falcons game? Did you catch that early morning game? Were you listening to it? How you think?
Bright early, the Jets. Yep. You know, fifth time in a row, starting off real slow.
Yeah.
Points in the first half. Slow from just really couldn't get anything stopped on defense. They started John Franklin Myers at DN on Kyle Pitts. I played tight end in college, man. If I ever saw a tight end part of me, you know how that would end.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, the scheme that the Jets defense thinks is okay. And honestly, it's just a terrible game just because it was a great matchup for the Jets. The Falcons start their two best wide receivers, Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage. The Jets have a really good pass defense. They recorded 7 sacks the week previous against the Titans. So you really think that a Jets pass rush defense geared up against this injured and not well put together Falcons offense will be a good matchup. But of course, in true Jets fashion, they let us down as they do week to week. And they got blown out the first half, and it's just not enough to get blown out in the first half and try to come back, especially for a rookie quarterback. It's too much. And that's just been a consistent theme throughout the season. Has just been too many points scored in the first half, not enough offense, and too big of a gap to close it for the second half.
A little example of like too little, too late to bring it in. You know, we can't start hitting the third and fourth quarter. The Raiders have been doing the same thing as well, not scoring touchdowns until the third quarter of both of the games that they played in the last 2 weeks. So I totally get where you're coming from. And you know what? You're right with John Franklin Myers coming up against Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts having his best game as a Falcon. I believe it was 7-8 catches for 118 yards and a touchdown, you know, and the tight ends really were chewing you guys up. Lee Smith also having some catches in there. I can't remember the name of the other tight end, but I think he had another touchdown as well. So it was really the tight ends that got through you guys. And I'm not surprised they leaned on them because they were down Russell Gage and Calvin, you know, so it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Just getting ready for this first through 3 overall pick this year once again.
You know what? I like them. I don't think they're a terrible team. What do you think of Salah, the coach there?
Robert Saleh, I think he's a good guy. I think he needs to interject himself a little bit more on the defense. He's not really calling defensive plays. I think he needs to start a little bit more than what he has been doing. But as far as the offense goes, the offense seems lost, and that's not his department. So it's hard to speak on his impact.
That's LaFleur, right? Mike LaFleur, little brother of Matt. Yep.
Yeah, the plays just, you know, Zach can't seem to get going. A positive note about this game, though, however, was Elijah Vera Tucker, our starting left guard, our 12th overall pick, I believe, this year.
I remember. Yep.
Highest rated O-lineman by Pro Football Focus this week, so that's a real positive thing next week. Out of any O-lineman, not just rookies, any O-lineman in the whole league, so that's a real positive note stepping in for the next week.
Absolutely. And I wish I had the same production from our first round pick, as Leatherwood continues to be the bottom of the tackle boards of Pro Football Focus's production rate. Now, I will say he had to move to guard because we're trying to make an offensive line out of bubble sticks and gum. So it's rough here. But Leatherwood and our new starting center, Andre James, are both really tanking in the Pro Football Focus boards as well. So just struggling production all the way around. But let's move into some of the football games that happened here this week. I still got 5 or 6 left to talk about, and they're good ones too. So we'll get into those. Did you happen to watch any of the Broncos versus Steelers game happening this weekend? Big Ben coming in, yeah.
The Steelers had a lead and held it most of the game. I saw the Broncos coming in late. Big Ben actually looked decent for the second time, I think, this year.
Yeah.
And it was surprising. I like the Broncos team. I kind of thought they were a legit 3-0, but they've been falling off a little bit, which is tough to see. I want to see Teddy Bridgewater get it going a little bit. And honestly, I want to see Melvin Gordon getting a little bit more than he has been back to his Charger days. I want to see him get that production.
Yeah.
Splitting carries with Javonte Williams, but Javonte Williams is a rookie and Melvin Gordon is a vet. So I just feel like Melvin Gordon needs to start getting a little more. And also Cortland Sutton, I would like to see get going a little more. Expected to have a really big year last year, but got injured towards ACL in preseason. So played a game. Really expect to bounce back year from him and see him get going. I'm really curious what this Broncos offense continues to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Sutton has been heating up in the last weeks. I think he did hit the century mark yardage against his Pittsburgh team, which is impressive because that's a really good defense over there, right? Pittsburgh's got you got TJ Watt, you got Minka Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, people that can play football very well over there. I completely agree with you. The Steelers got in front of this Broncos team early in the game, and they managed to hold that. The Broncos did have a fighting chance. They were at first and goal, and they got stopped 4 times in a row by the Steelers defense. And it's just good on the Steelers to get the job done. I'm interested to see how Denver will continue to do down the stretch. They started off strong, but clearly they played one of the weakest schedules in the NFL doing that. They managed to get through the Giants, the Jets, and Jacksonville, I believe, were their first 3 wins. So let's see how their production goes. They're playing the Raiders next week, and Raiders clearly dealing with a lot of PR issues. I think that's going to be a really good football game. I really do. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. So we'll keep our eyes peeled over there. Big Ben and the boys managed to pull this one out. They will go to 2-3, while the Broncos will fall to 3-2. The final score there, 27-19. Let's go on to the next game I have on our docket here. And this was a tough one to watch. And I'm curious to myself if the Jon Gruden situation had affected it greatly. And, we could talk about our opinion in that as well. But the Las Vegas Raiders falling to the Chicago Bears 20-19. Justin Fields getting his second win as a full-time starter. Your thoughts on Field and that Raiders team?
I love Fields. I wish I saw him doing a little more at his position of quarterback, but as a rookie, you can't really ask for too much. But he is 2-1 now as a starter, which is very positive, and that's a very good record. That's the best rookie starting record out of all the rookies so far this year.
Yeah.
Field looks okay. He doesn't look great. He doesn't look bad. He looks okay. I see now he went, I think 12 for 20 in the game, which is okay, with 111 yards and a touchdown, which is okay. I'd like to see more out of your quarterback, but they won the game, so you really can't complain. The Raiders kind of looked flat, came out flat. Nothing really was able to get sustained for them. And yeah, that's what I got.
No, I completely agree with you. And you know what? You do want to see higher quarterback numbers from Fields, but hey, when you're running the ball well too, it's not like you need that offensive production when you're able to get. They got 4 or 5 yards of carry, and you don't need to rely so heavily on the passing game when you can run the ball so well. The Raiders defense has continued to look worse and worse against the run ever since the Chargers game. I don't think we've been able to stop a running back. That's only 2 weeks, but I was saying before, I'm just curious to think if maybe one of the main reasons the Raiders were so flat because of the locker room was probably split in some ways with the information that had came out on Gruden beforehand, Yeah, absolutely. And I know I'd listened to Randy Moss talk about it, and he's like, and as a player, you're going to go out and you're going to play football because that's what you do and you're a professional athlete. But it's tough when you see falters and weaknesses from your leader like that, and it's tough to really come out and play your best football when you're torn. And I can't speak for it really myself, but I know that it'd be hard for me to go play football for a coach that I'm not even sure I respected, so I'm sure that had something to do with the flatness. So, yeah. Here's a really good game, and I definitely was saving this one for you to come on. I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. Los Angeles Chargers, Cleveland Browns, 47-42 final.
Baker, my favorite quarterback in the league. It was just really tough to see that. I think the Browns are a very good team, have that really great O-line, have those both stud running backs, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, bang, ready to go. Have a really good defensive core to the point where they're not even really using Odell Beckham at all. They're really going with Jones and and some of their other targets they have over there, which has been really interesting to see. But yeah, this is totally surprising. I think that Justin Herbert, I don't know if you remember from over the summer that clip when Patrick Mahomes on the golf course and a reporter asked him about Justin Herbert, and he said, "We'll see it when we believe it." And I think Justin Herbert's been coming with that mentality the whole year, which is why they actually beat the Chiefs and actually why they're going on to win these great games. Justin Herbert, straight dog. Never saw a straight dog.
Definitely. I completely agree with you. I think Herbert's absolutely the guy right now. Absolutely the guy to beat. He's chopping strong teams' heads off every week he goes into. This Browns team, I thought would be able to pull it out because of that strong run game that they have. But I'll tell you this, man, the ball's on the head coach of Brandon Staley. They go for it on 4th down when they need it. They do not punt and say, we're going to go defensively here. There was 3 or 4 4th down conversions in that game. One of them was a 4th and 8 on the 35-yard line that they completed to Keenan Allen. They just go for the wins. And Herbert absolutely continues to deliver every time you ring the bell. He just keeps getting the job done, man. It's extremely impressive. Tagging back into our Browns conversation, yes, Odell Beckham has been surprisingly unproductive. I will say this, though, and we know this as athletes, he's coming off the ACL injury, which takes a while to come. He's probably back a little sooner than he even really fully wanted to be because Jarvis is down. So they're missing, main receivers. I think you give him 2-3 more weeks and get that knee back under him. I think it's kind of like how Saquon took a little bit to get better, and then he had a great game last week. Obviously rolled the ankle, but I think we need a little more time because there's Browns fans calling for trades. They're saying we got to get rid of Beckham right now, right? Like, I'm not there yet. I think it's the knee, and we need to let him get a little more time to produce and fall into the offense. But that Browns team is damn good, though. That's a good football team, and the Chargers are better now. I mean, Chargers might be one of the best 3 teams in the NFL. Really,
I don't really care what the power rankings say. They're probably gonna have the Cardinals first because they're 5-0. I think the Chargers are the team to beat, best team in the league.
I agree with you. That would be a great matchup to see coming through.
It's also side note real quick. It's also been nice to see Mike Williams finally coming through. He was a dog.
Oh yeah,
Don Watson, and his first year with Trevor Lawrence. It's been really nice to see him actually catch some footballs and play well.
Yep. He's been doing great. I mean, he had 2 deep touchdown receptions in that game that were huge. Obviously, you got Keenan Allen there as well. Austin Eckler's been playing amazing football too. So just all great things going on with the Chargers. Moving on along here, this is going to be a quick talk, but we can just talk about our thoughts on these teams. Giants versus Cowboys. Daniel Jones ends up getting carted off after the second half. Hurts his neck diving for the goal line. Dallas runs away with this one after Mike Glennon comes in. Saquon is out in the first drive after rolling his ankle. Dallas seems to be getting on a roll here. Dak Prescott playing well, and that defense seems to be getting the job done each week. Your thoughts on this Dallas team, and your thoughts on if the Giants can clean things up?
Story from the Chargers team. The Chargers lost this whole year has been against Dallas, and I think I know Dallas' only loss this year was the first game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and once they scored too early and gave Tom Brady one more possession to gave him another minute, which they should not have done. And that's the only game they lost besides that. And again, I know the Cardinals are 5-0, but I would have the Chargers, I would have the Cowboys, and then I would have the Cardinals third. I think this Cowboys team is battle tested. They have the guys. I think they've been close for numerous of years. They've been Super Bowl contenders. And I think it's all coming together this year. I think Dak's back. He's often healthy. He has the security now of the full guaranteed contract that he signed. He has that security now. He's not playing on these franchise tag 1-year deals anymore. I think now's the time for the Cowboys, and I think it would be a great time to be a Cowboys fan. I
completely agree with you. It seems like that. I don't think there's even – if there was a team that would come close to them in the East, it'd be Philly, and they blew them out of the water last week. So I think they've got the East. It seems like a playoff spot. It's well within easy grips for that Dallas team. I agree. I think they're very up there in my personal power rankings as well, especially with how well they played the Chargers and how they only barely lost to Tom Brady in that Tampa Bay team. Barely. That was a very close game. So that's it. You think Daniel Jones will be gone for long, or you know anything about that? Or
I'm not sure. I just saw how he looked when he got up, and that was not a good look.
Yeah,
I'm not in love with this Giants team at all. I'm not in love with Jason Garrett. I'm not in love with Joe Judge. I think that their offense is very predictable. It's very one-dimensional. It's not very complex. It's very simple. Just not a fan of this Giants team at the minute.
Yep, I agree with you. And and we'll just have to see how things go on, and we'll give our predictions in their game here for next week in a little bit. But let's just talk about this Arizona Cardinals team playing the Niners and beating them 17-10, kind of a closer game than people expected. Trey Lance got the start in this game, was able to get some production late, it seems. Still a little inaccurate throwing the ball, is obviously able to do crazy things with his legs. Arizona continues to pile it on, getting their 5th win of the season. Do you think Arizona can keep up this heat, the run they have going? And do you think the Niners have a guy in Trey Lance, or they should work back to Garoppolo when he's healthy?
I catch a lot of heat for this take. I think the Cardinals are a good fake team, or a fake good team, however you want to say it. Obviously, the 5-0 record can't dispute, best record in the league, only undefeated team. But I just don't see value in their roster. I know that their defense is good. I know they have a lot of names, a lot of veteran names on that defensive side. J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones. I know Budda Baker. I know they have all that. And I know they drafted the young linebacker Isaiah Simmons. I'm just not sold on this team. I can't even give you one specific thing. It's multiple. It's just multiple things that I've seen from this team that just come together to formulate my opinion. I think they're a fake good team.
Mm-hmm. Something I will say is that you never want to. It's always good to get hot in the NFL, but you don't always want to get blazing hot early. You don't always want to get blazing hot early in the game or early in the season. You really want it coming 2 or 3 weeks before playoff time to get full momentum. So I wouldn't be surprised if even in the next, obviously I expected them to score more points against this Niners team. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few weeks we start to see them divvy down a bit, because you can only ride the momentum for so long in the NFL. And now everyone wants to take your head off. Okay. So that'll be interesting to see. I don't disagree with you that this may not be the top-seeded team that we think they are just based off their record. That's why it's a long year, So we got 17 games coming up. Let's just tag on one more thing. What do you think about Trey Lance over there for the Niners? Do you think they should stick with Garoppolo for a while, or do you think they should give Trey just full reign and let him see what he can do?
I'm just confused on what they're doing over there. It's not very consistent. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I think if you're going to make the switch, you need to make the switch permanently. But I just think the switch was made a little bit too early. I would have let Jimmy G ride it out a little longer. The vet, I'm just not a fan of making this early of a switch with the rookie quarterback when you have a veteran ready to go.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Garoppolo out with a calf injury last week. I'm not sure if that's the same reason they held him out this week or not. Maybe just speculatory. Maybe they just wanted to see how the rookie would do up against some extremely hard challenges. Deebo Samuel continues to dominate over there for the Niners, and we'll keep tabs on them. All right. We'll dive in. We got 2 more games here, then we'll give our picks, and then I got to get on out of here to go coach football. But let's talk about the Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs team here. I really like Josh Allen. Are the Bills one of the best teams in football right now? And is Kansas City dead in the water, Chris?
The Bills are definitely a top team, as they were last year too, playing very well last year. Josh Allen, the resurgence is back. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes might have gotten figured out. It might be a little too early to say, but at the same time, he also might have gotten figured out. This is by far his slowest start in his career that he's ever had. Most interceptions to start the year that he's ever thrown in his whole career. Patrick Mahomes might have gotten figured out. Those are my takeaways from the game.
I will say this, that yes, there are definitely heavy offensive struggles coming, and Mahomes is being less productive than we're used to seeing. But that Kansas City defense is also like Swiss cheese. They're bad. They're playing poor football right now, and Buffalo took full advantage of that. I just think Buffalo's got a very solid defense, and they've got the offensive firepower to match probably any powerhouse team you could name in the NFL right now. They are locking on all cylinders. Dawson Knox, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders is over there now too. He's been playing great football. So it'll be interesting to see what they continue to do down the stretch. Okay. And the Chiefs got to pick it up here. They're at the bottom of the AFC West. They're at the bottom. They're 2-3. They're behind every team there. And the Chargers seem to have a very strong lead and hold of that leadership right now. Last game, and then we'll go into our picks and predictions. Indianapolis Colts, Baltimore Ravens, Monday Night Football. Ravens get the win in overtime after being down 25-9 late in the game.
Watson, a dog, bro. That's it. Just a straight dog, bro.
Yep.
MVP, run it back.
Run it back, MVP, huh? Early candidate in there for you. I will say this. That Indianapolis Colts team, they were just –
Carson Wentz sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He didn't play. He played probably his best game yet as a Colt. except for against a failing Miami team, you know. So Carson Wentz is failing to step up to the ledger he had left himself up to when he was playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. That is definitely clear. Baltimore Jackson continues to step up. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, 2 fourth-quarter 2-point conversions, all to Mark Andrews, one of the top tight ends in the NFL, as I'm sure we're all aware. And this Ravens team gets the win in overtime. The Ravens are 4-1. Their only loss coming this season in Week 1 against the Las Vegas Raiders, led by the previous head coach Jon Gruden. So that's our games for the Week 5 of the NFL season. I'm going to move on to our picks and predictions for Week 6, and we'll just push through those with some gut opinions and talk about them. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that had happened this season that you want to give your opinion on? Maybe some thoughts on Urban Myer or your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence or anything like that?
That's a totally different topic, I think, Jordy, for a different show. That could be a totally different segment.
For sure. I talked about him a little bit, but it seems like he's gotten a lot of the heat taken off him with all these new Jon Gruden developments. And yeah, absolutely. So we'll save it for another time, Chris. We'll save it for another time. We'll go into these next games. So firstly, we have Thursday night football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles played a good game against the Panthers last week.
I have a blowout, Bucks by at least 3 scores.
Bucks by at least 3. Okay, I'm going to agree with you that Tampa Bay is going to come out there and play really good football. I think they're going to run the ball efficiently. They've been getting much better in the run game later, and I see the Eagles struggling. Tampa Bay's run defense is very stout. If they're going to attack and they're going to win, they need to target this Tampa Bay backfield, their DBs, which are weakened with injury. But, they got Richard Sherman out there. They've still got people who can play football, and their linebackers are the best, probably have the best D-line in the NFL as well. Give me Tampa Bay. Here's kind of a close one. Dolphins, Jaguars.
Who cares? No, I'm joking. No, 2 last place teams battling it out. I guess technically the Dolphins are at last place if they've won a game because the Jets should be in last place.
Yeah.
But Jacoby Brissett, Trevor Lawrence, 2 underperforming teams. Should be a close game.
Who do you like? Who would you pick to win?
It's really just flipping a coin at this point, to be honest with you. And if I had to go with one, I would pick the more veteran coach, the more veteran team. So I'm going with the Miami Dolphins by score.
I would go with Miami as well, purely based off Brian Flores and what I've seen him do in previous seasons. I just don't think Urban Meyer's got a good grasp of everything going on over there, and Trevor Lawrence is still showing some strong rookie struggles. Still the only quarterback left in the NFL as a rookie without a win either. Moving on along, this is a good game here. Minnesota Vikings, Carolina Panthers.
I like the Panthers in this one. I like what Sam Darnold's doing. I like the Panthers' defense. I think they have a top 10 defense in the NFL this year. They have a really good defense. I don't think Kirk Cousins is a winner, even though the Vikings have a very good roster. Justin Jefferson, one of my favorite receivers in the NFL, broke Randy Moss's, rookie receiving yards record last year. And he has that spot solely. He's having a very, very, very strong campaign this year too. I think he could be in the conversation of a top 5 receiver this year. I just give the edge to the Panthers based on their defense and based on Sam Darnold's playing well.
I think I'm going to end up leaning just ever so slightly towards Minnesota in this one. But I agree with you. Kirk Cousins has struggled to win close games. I get that. But I think the overall roster strength and veteran leadership for this Vikings team will end up taking hold. I like Thielen, I like Zimmer, and I like their edge rushers as well. Danielle Hunter is looking like a top 10 D lineman over there, really doing a good job getting after the quarterback. And have the Panthers been able to put together enough to beat the Philadelphia Eagles last week, I would be more leaning towards the Panthers, but I think some holes were exposed by them, and I don't think we're going to see them as high as a producing team until we get Christian McCaffrey back in the backfield. And then I think we can talk about them being a much more dominant threat than I believe they are at the moment, but that's another coin flip game. Here's a freaking good game here, Chris. Los Angeles Chargers, Baltimore Ravens.
That's a great game. This is, really, really going against what I believe. Just because, the Chargers are my favorite team, but Lamar Jackson's my favorite. Sorry, the Chargers are my favorite team to win this year, but the Ravens are my favorite team to watch. I love Lamar Jackson. I love watching him play. So, I want to say Lamar Jackson, but I think the Chargers are going to pull this one out.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think Baltimore's been finding a way to win games, but I think the Chargers have been finding a way to win games cleaner than the Ravens have. I think the Chargers are going to win this one. I imagine it will be a close game, but I am going to lean towards Herbert and the Chargers to pull this one off. This next one, I think it's a pretty easy call. We've got Los Angeles Rams versus the New York Giants. Your thoughts there?
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. You said the Rams against the Giants. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that the Rams are a very, very good team this year. I like Matthew Stafford a lot. I don't like the Giants at all. I have the Rams winning by at least 2 scores here in this game, if not 3. Yep. 2 scores.
I agree with you, and we don't even know if Danny Dimes is going to be back, and I don't see Glennon being the guy to come in there and beat this Los Angeles Rams team. I'm a big fan of Stafford over there with the Rams. He's been playing great football. You got Cooper Kupp. You just got so many weapons. Robert Woods. I'm going Rams all the way. Here we go. And this team played a really good game last week. Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, that's a very interesting team. I don't really know what to make of either the Texans or the Colts, to be honest, this early in the season. I think that I don't like Carson Wentz at all. And the Texans are a very interesting team with all around being 1-4 at this point in the year. Kind of both, again, like earlier, 2 last place teams in the AFC South battling it out. Going to be very interesting to see. Very close game. And I think that the Colts are going to be hurt after the game that they just had. So I expect them to come out firing a little bit stronger. So I have the Colts by a close score in this one.
I agree with you. I like the Colts. I just think that Texans team is starting to play better, and they're starting to get things figured out, and they're really locked in this underdog role. So at a roll of the dice, and just for the hell of it, I'm just going to go with the Texans here against Indianapolis, because Indianapolis has been finding a way to lose football games. It could be a blowout for the Colts too, but I'm going to go Houston here in this one, just based off how well they played New England last week. Maybe they're figuring something out over there. Maybe Davis Mills is a guy to look at as a good quarterback. I'm not entirely sure. So we'll see how that one goes. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Washington football team. Thoughts?
I think the Kansas City Chiefs have this unlocked. The Washington football team doesn't really have an identity at this point in the season. I thought that we all thought their identity would be their defense, but the defense has been abysmal this whole year, allowing multiple yardages. Allowing a lot of yardage and not really coming through with that pass rush that we're so used to them seeing with that deadly up front 4 that they have. Been a disappointing year for the Washington football team. So I would have to go with the Chiefs.
Yep, I'm going to agree with you as well. I think the Chiefs find their way back to 3-3 and into the win column here against this Washington football team. Next one, NFC North matchup, Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears.
I have the Packers in this one. The Packers have been playing very, very well. Aaron Rodgers, after that first game, has returned to MVP form. Rookie quarterback in Justin Fields hasn't been playing great. I have the Packers in this one by a few scores.
I agree with you. I'm going with the Packers. Been playing lights out football. I like them over the Bears as well. This one could be good as well. Cincinnati Bengals, Detroit Lions.
Joe Burrow has been playing well, balling. Joe Mixon hurt. This is a very, very interesting game. I'm honestly not too sure on this one, to be honest with you. The Lions are really, really bad. Now that I'm giving this a second look, I have the Bengals by at least 2 scores. The Lions will win the game, I promise.
Okay. I'm going to lean towards Burrow as well, because they've been finding ways to win football games and play close with them. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it'll be a 2-score game. I think somehow, some way, the Lions are going to find a way to lose by a field goal. I just say that's what they've been doing all season. So I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals as well there. Another good matchup here. We've got Arizona Cardinals, Cleveland Browns.
And as we said, this was a fake good team in the Cardinals. They're going into the dog pound where they don't really play any games. I have Cleveland by a score in this game.
I agree with you. I'm going with Cleveland. I'm going with Cleveland because I think that Arizona is going to struggle to stop that run attack that Cleveland has absolutely mastered. And I think they're going to struggle early in the game and not going to be able to catch themselves back up because of their lack of ability to run the ball and their reliance on needing Kyler Murray to make plays with his feet and through the air. So I'm going Cleveland by a score as well. Dallas Cowboys, New England Patriots.
I love this Dallas team. I'm not sold on this Patriots team. I have Dallas by a score here.
I agree as well. I'm going with Dallas. They've been playing great football. They're looking like a really tough team to go out against. The Patriots have not impressed me, struggled against Houston last week. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys here. Sunday at 1:25, the Las Vegas Raiders will be playing the Denver Broncos.
I don't want you to be upset by this pick, but I do have the Broncos in this game.
I'm not upset. We just lost our head coach.
Riding on some games. They'll find a way to pick it up this week. I think the Raiders are dealing with a lot internally, and their minds won't be focused necessarily on the game, especially throughout the game, their game plans this week in preparation for this game. So I have the Broncos in this game by score.
I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders. I see them rallying behind their new coach and rallying together behind the leadership of Derek Carr and others amongst that team. I think they're going to find a way to win the game. I think it will be close and go down to the fourth quarter, but I expect the Raiders to start clicking much more offensively than they have been over the last couple of weeks. I don't know why, but there's definitely some bias there as me being a Raiders fan, and I'm wearing a Mac jersey, but I'm going Las Vegas Raiders in that game. Going Las Vegas. Sunday night football, Seattle Seahawks, Pittsburgh Steelers, Seattle with no Russell Wilson.
Yeah, real interesting game. Geno Smith, I've seen a lot of him, especially in the Jet days. I think it's going to be a fairly close game, but I have the Seahawks just based on the overall roster. I think it's a better team.
Interesting. I am going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think their defense is going to rattle Geno, and I think it's going to be a very close game with not a lot of offense from either teams, and probably a 13-17 game or something like that. I think the Steelers are going to get it done. I think they're just starting to find out how to start winning games here, and this will be a big one for them. Would not be surprised at all if Geno just manages to take the game, though, and the Steelers continue their offensive struggles. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Last but not least, Monday Night Football, Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans.
I got the Bills in this one. The Titans haven't really impressed me so far this year. I think they have a very good roster, but they've had some disappointments this year, especially on the defensive end. I think Taylor Lewan, their starting left tackle, hasn't been playing nearly as well as he normally does. So I have them losing this game.
All right. I agree with you. I'm going with Buffalo, especially after we watch the Titans lose to the Jets. I'm just going to leave it there. Chris, I got to get running here pretty soon. I want to appreciate you for coming on. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Final message to anyone listening, anything like that?
I love the Holmes Hour. I'm not a big fan of Tyson, but I love the Holmes Hour, so that's why I'm here.
Yep. Hey, appreciate you coming on, man. You have a great rest of your week. We'll see how these games play out. All right, man?
Yes, sir.
Later, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out Connor McFarland. Shout out Ethan Simmons. Music and the board design. Everyone have a great week. I will catch you all next time on the Holmes Hour.